Policies are often judged by how they sound. They are announced with clear goals, confident language, and moral urgency. On paper, they promise efficiency, fairness, or progress. Yet when these same policies reach the real world, the results often look very different. This gap between policy and reality is not accidental. It is structural. Policy exists in abstraction. Reality exists in systems. When a policy is designed, it assumes certain behaviors, capacities, and responses. It assumes that rules will be followed as written, that incentives will align naturally, and that implementation will be consistent. In practice, none of these assumptions hold fully true. Research in public administration consistently shows that policies change meaning as they move through institutions. What begins as a clear objective becomes a set of procedures, metrics, and compliance requirements. Each step adds interpretation. Each layer reshapes intent. This process begins with translation. Laws and policies are written broadly. They must be. Broad language allows political agreement. But broad language requires interpretation. Agencies decide what terms mean, what exceptions apply, and how rules are enforced. These decisions quietly determine outcomes. Capacity is the next constraint. Policies often assume institutions can do more than they realistically can. Staffing limits, outdated systems, budget constraints, and training gaps shape what is possible. When capacity falls short, implementation adapts not by stopping, but by simplifying, delaying, or narrowing scope. This is where reality diverges sharply from intent. Frontline actors play a crucial role here. Teachers, inspectors, regulators, administrators, and caseworkers translate policy into action. Research calls them street-level bureaucrats. Their discretion is unavoidable. They must make judgment calls under pressure, limited time, and imperfect information. Policy becomes what they can realistically deliver. Incentives further widen the gap. Policies often reward compliance rather than outcomes. When performance is measured by forms completed instead of problems solved, behavior shifts accordingly. The system does not fail, it responds rationally to what is rewarded. This explains why policies produce box ticking instead of impact. Actors optimize for survival within the system, not for abstract goals set elsewhere. Feedback is another weak point. Many policies lack real-time feedback from reality. Reports lag behind events. Data is aggregated and sanitized. Negative signals are softened to avoid blame. By the time problems are visible, they are deeply embedded. Historical precedents follow this pattern repeatedly. Welfare reforms that assume uniform behavior ignore social complexity. Environmental regulations that focus on reporting rather than enforcement miss real impact. Economic policies that assume rational response overlook institutional friction. None of this requires bad faith. The gap exists even with good intentions. It emerges because policies operate in simplified models of reality, while institutions operate in constrained environments. Complexity magnifies the gap. The more actors involved, the more interpretations multiply. Each organization adapts the policy to its own incentives, culture, and limitations. Uniform intent fragments into uneven practice. This is why policies that work in pilot programs often fail at scale. Pilots operate under controlled conditions. Reality does not. The gap between policy and reality also explains why reform efforts often disappoint. New policies are layered on top of old systems without removing conflicting incentives. The system absorbs the change and continues functioning largely as before. Understanding this gap changes how we evaluate success and failure. Instead of asking whether a policy was good or bad, we ask whether the system was capable of delivering it. Instead of blaming implementation, we examine design. Effective policies are not those with the strongest language, but those that align with real incentives, real capacity, and real behavior. They anticipate adaptation instead of assuming compliance. The gap between policy and reality is not a mistake to eliminate. It is a reality to design for. Because policies don't fail when people don't follow them. They fail when systems respond exactly as designed.